The cliche is our next guest needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him a little bit, maybe for the kids. Because a lot of times, Louie, the kids don't pay attention. They go, I'd heard something about this Phil Esposito guy, but come on. But you need to know a little bit more than just that the name exists. I'm looking at, for example, well, the number of All-Star Game appearances it's just endless. It's not even worth, I think, going on about that. But how about NHL goal-scoring leader, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75. Stanley Cup champion, 70 and 72. Canada Cup gold medal in 76. Inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1984. Inducted into the New York Hockey Hall of Fame in 1984. Obviously, retired, and he retired as the second leading all-time NHL goal and point scorer and third in assists. He remains among all-time NHL leaders in goals scored, 7th, assists 21st, and total points 10th. And in 68-69, we've talked to him about this before, he became the first player in NHL history to reach 100 points in a single season. That was, he finished with 126 points. Louie's good friend, Phil Esposito, kind enough to join us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. Mr. Esposito, welcome back.
Paul, I'm telling you, if I live to 100th, I'll be 100th in the scoring.
That's so true. How have you been?
I've been well, thank you. It's been, look, you get older, you think, some days you wake up and you feel pretty damn good, so that's okay.
That's it.
And then some days you wake up and you sit on the edge of the bed and you say, is this as good as I'm going to feel all day? Well, I hope not. But Louie knows that because Louie's older than me.
Just a few months.
That's it. Barely.
It doesn't matter, Louie. You're older than me. That's it.
That's all that counts. By the way, my sources say you're going to be heading to the Sioux. A big Phil Esposito documentary is in the works. Can you confirm?
Yeah, it's called a docufilm. In fact, he starts shooting a little bit tomorrow here in Tampa Bay.
Awesome.
And I'm surprised we're doing it. The guy says, he's from Canada, obviously. Being Canadian, you get a lot of tax breaks as far as film is concerned and stuff like that. So the guys are from Canada that are doing this. And he says, I'm coming down, we'll walk around the city. And I said, hey, it's going to be 100 degrees outside with the humidity. Can't you wait to walk around when it's October, November? I mean, come on. It's probably a year, not till, I would say sometime late, maybe for December 27, or maybe sometime in 28, by the time they get all the stuff that is going to have to happen with it and the things that I want to do. And Louie, I was talking to Jerry Bombaco, and I asked about Patty Nardini and Donnie Muscatello and all the guys that we played juvenile hockey with. Remember, Louie?
Right, they're all still living, those guys, anyway.
Yeah. And, of course, I'm going to see you, aren't you, Louie, in the Sioux?
Yeah, I'm going to be coming up there August 9th, so you're going up there on the 8th, so we'll get together.
No, we're going to come up on the 9th, not the 8th, only because I can't get the hotel room in the 8th.
Well, you should have called me. I got a connection there. I got the hotel rooms.
Where, at the Quattro? See, I want to be at the Quattro because it's close
your
to my
sister. Yeah. No, I'm downtown at the Delta.
I figured you'd both have connections that you could use, for God's sake. I mean, you're hockey gods there, aren't you?
Well, the cost is so. Actually, I think they pay us to stay there. That's so cheap right now. But you can come to the cottage. We had cottages almost close to each other, a few blocks away. And Phil bought his cottage.
Hey, Lou, did I tell you that story? The last time I was up there last year. Yeah. My sister piled in the car, my wife and Jimmy and my daughter, Lori, my oldest daughter, and we all piled in the car, and we drove up to where I have my very first house, my cottage at Point Louise. Point to Sheen, I mean.
Right.
And we're driving by, and I'm looking. That place is unbelievably beautiful now, with homes, beautiful homes and everything else, right on Lake Superior. And I'm driving, and I stop, and I yell out the window to this fellow in the driveway. I says, "Hey, listen, do you happen to remember where Dr. Kelly's house used to be?" Because Kelly lived right beside me. Right. And he says, "Phil Esposito, I've been waiting for 15 years for you to come by here, you dumbass." I said, "What?" The guy's name was George DiBardino. He bought the place, my place. Wow. Of course, he tore it down, and he built a beautiful home. We spent 2.5 hours, Louie, drinking a few beers and everything else and talking with, and all the neighbors came around. It was like, only in the zoo could that happen, I thought.
Well, tell him the biggest problem you had. He buys his cottage, which is a couple blocks from ours. We had ours called Dodge Inn, and his was a couple blocks up there. He buys it from his uncle, and when he gets it, he puts a big Blackhawk sign out front. Yeah. I mean, about 5 feet high and wide. And was it the same week you got traded? And the first thing he says, "What am I going to do with the sign?"
It wasn't long later.
Oh, that's
it wasn't
good.
Long after.
That's outstanding.
But I should have kept it, made sure, and gave it to Tony.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Yeah,
that's true.
Tony was getting drafted, picked up in the expansion draft by the Blackhawks.
Right.
It was insane.
Can I ask you?
Absolutely insane.
There's a lot of hockey stuff Louie and I want to get to with you, but I want to ask you a more philosophical question. Maybe it's for you too serious of a question. I don't know, but I'm going to ask it nevertheless. What the hell do you guys know about survival? I look at Louie every day and I go, my God, he doesn't stop. And he doesn't look anywhere near his age. You don't either. What the hell do you guys know that the rest of us need to learn?
Well, as far as survival goes, I mean, I worked, and Louie knows this, I worked in the summertime in the steel plant till I was 30 years old, till 1972, just to make ends meet. When I scored 100 points the first time, I think I made 18,000.
That's insane.
I mean, the other day I was being interviewed about a month ago, and the guy asked me, he said, "If you were playing now, what do you think you'd be making?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "Probably around 12, 14 million a year. Would your lifestyle change?" And I says, "One way," and I put up my finger, "one way." He said, "What's that?" I said, "I'd never fly commercial again." That's the only thing would change, because I think, and Louis he's always been like that, though, It doesn't, and really and truly, sure, you work your brains off or your butt off because you want to, for your family and all that, and yourselves, no doubt about that. But then it's because it's there and you want to do it. Like, I don't ever want to retire from doing just the broadcasting that I'm doing now on radio until I feel that I just can't do it anymore, or I can't see anymore, or something like that. Because if you keep your mind occupied, and I'm a believer in this, the rest of your body sort of takes care of everything. And I don't know. The body goes no matter what the hell you do, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Hell, my boobs are bigger than my wife's.
But I have to tell you, the one thing you just said is one of the most important things. And in other words, he was saying curiosity, and that's what drives me, curiosity. Just to keep going. Your curiosity keeps the adrenaline going, and it keeps all your functions going. I think that's what makes you younger.
There's no question.
I agree, Lou. I agree, Louie. I totally agree. And that's really the good part. I don't. Louie's a little bit closer to some of the players that play now than I am, because I keep my distance, completely keep my distance, and
why is that?
I think it's because of John Tortorella when he was here in 2004. Because I'll never forgive him for it. Now, when we were going back to Calgary to play Game 6. He wouldn't let me on the plane in the first trip, but I went with the press, and I knew that they were coming back, and going with the press was something that I didn't like and I didn't want to do, but I did it because I was part of my job. But when we were going back for the 6th game, they wouldn't let me on the plane again. He wouldn't, according to Feaster, who was the general manager. It was John Tortorella said, no, I don't want him on the plane. He let Dave Miskin, my broadcast partner, on the plane. And they also said that if we lose in Game 6, you're on your own getting home.
What?
When he said that to me, I went, are you stinking kidding me? Well, guess what? I'm not going. And I didn't go. Thank God there was a Game 7. They came here, back, and we won Game 7, because I remember Marty St. Louis scoring in Game 6, and I think it was the second overtime. And that's the famous goal that they thought that, what was his name? The left-handed left winger for Calgary. They thought the puck went in the net, just crossed the line. But according to, we didn't have all the replays and all that, the referee said no. Whether it did or not, I really couldn't tell on television. I couldn't tell.
So if I ask you, Phil, do you think Torts is mellowed at all? Might not be the right person to ask, right? Yeah.
I never got close to him.
That's amazing.
Like I said, I don't go near the dressing room. I've talked to John Cooper a lot, and not a lot in the last 4 or 5 years. But before that, we'd run into each other at a restaurant or a bar, and have a couple of beers together, and we had a lot of laughs. You know me, Louie. I would have a few beers. I tell him whatever I think.
Well, I don't think you need the beers to do that.
No, you didn't. No, not you, Lou. You didn't need any beers to tell you what to do. You just did it. No, but I don't get to the players. I try to stay away. And really, it's the Russian players that are more gravitating to me and they come up to me. Guys like Kucherov and Vasilevsky and Sergachev when he was here, and I don't know whether it's a fact still from 1972 in Russia, which blows me away. Yeah. And I went back up until 2020 when the pandemic. I wasn't going back to Russia because I might have got stuck there, so I didn't go. But the more of the Russian players. In fact, I told Kucherov at the party this year that was at the beginning of the season. He was standing there alone, and I went up and he says, "Hey, Kuch, how are you doing?" And we got talking, and I says, you are the second biggest pouty-wouty guy I've ever met. If something doesn't go right on the ice, you pout. And he looked at me, and I said, "You know how I know that? Because I was number one." I didn't get the puck. And he looked at me, and I said, "But if I came to the bench and Bobby Orr or Kenny Hodge or Wayne Cashman were anywhere near me, they gave it to me bad. But nobody tells you, do they, Cooch?" He just looked at me and he says, "No." Well, maybe they should.
It's a great observation, because I wanted to ask you about coaching and the importance where you put head coaching into the mix. But it occurs to me what you're laying out is on the best teams, there is some internal challenging and policing that goes on.
Oh, yeah.
And that's vital, is it not, Phil?
Absolutely. In our day, it wasn't, because you had one coach, and then in the late 70s, or around 75, 76, right, Lou? They got two coaches behind the bench. Now they got more coaches than they got players. And, I mean, how much more information can you stand on the bench with this? You got the iPads, you got all this other stuff, and all this analytical stuff. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
I really am not into all of that stuff. If the guy can play and he tries hard, basically, some guys got just the talent. You can see it. You can see the difference in talent. There's no doubt about that. But when the guy just gives it everything he's got, every game in, and it's not going to be there all the time. I don't give a damn who you are. If you get up in the morning and go to work and you think you're going to feel well every day and you're going to be on top of it, you're full of crap, because it doesn't happen. In 80 games, when we played 80 games, I used to say, Phil, I'll give you 10 games where you're just not into it mentally. And I hated myself for that. But it happened, and my teammates would carry me out of it, and carry you. And that's why hockey is such a team sport. You could be having a bad game, but your teammates can bail you out.
Phil,
that's very important.
Phil, I got to ask you, so much is made today of the face-offs, which it should be, obviously, but every game, they talk about the statistics, how much they've won, lost, who won so much. Nobody was better than you at face-off circle. What do you think of when you look at the games today, when they talk about on the strong side and he's going to pull it back or what he's going to do? Tell me what you thought about when you went on a face-off circle, and what's the difference today?
In the first place, if I was on the right-hand side and had to draw it back towards the goalie, I would go to Cheevers, and I'd say, Jerry, Cheesy, I'm drawing it back. Be ready. He said, okay. And I draw it back because whoever I was facing off. Guys were great cheaters. Bobby Clark was the best cheater I ever played against. He really was. I always had trouble with the small guys, like the Henry Richards, the Andre Boudria, the little guys. They get down so low that there was nothing you can do. Now, I remember my first year in training camp at the Blackhawks. I'm 20 years old, and Billy Hay came right up, Louie, and got me right where the sun doesn't shine. You understand? On a face-off. And I'm telling you, I went down like a bag of rocks, and I was really pissed. And I didn't know what to do. It was my first training camp, and Billy Hay was. And I finally, after the practice, and we were all got dressed, and I went up to him and I said, "Why did you do that?" He says, "You think I want you to take my job, kid? We got 6 teams in this league. You're not taking my goddamn job." Well, guess what? I took his job. I went and I ended up playing with Bobby Hull and Chico Mackey, and Billy Hay went and played with Eric Nestorenko, and
I was watching
more of a checking line.
Yep, I remember it well. Phil, did you? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, so you do that. I don't know whether they do that anymore now. I don't. Because I don't even go to training camp anymore. Because to me, it's a waste of time. You know who the kids are going to be, and you know whether they're going to make the team or not.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get a surprise like this year. We got that kid Dominic James and Lightning. He has surprised everybody, and he's a good little player, a very good little player.
We are chatting with the all-time great Phil Esposito. Louie, of course, here as well as we continue our Legends with Louie series again. Did you like fighting? Did you like to fight, Phil?
No, I didn't. I'll tell you what, my first year, I got into way too many fights. And I remember going in at the end of the year, and the next year to try to get a contract. We didn't have agents. I didn't have an agent. And Tommy Ivan was the general manager, and he offered me something like $6,500 or $6,800 or something. And I said, but come on. I fought John Ferguson.
Yeah.
How the hell? Why did I fight Fergie? I'll never know. The guy was hit me so many rights, I was begging for a left. You know what I mean? I fought Teddy Green. I didn't know he was a lefty. I was fighting these guys. Teddy Harris was another monster, tough guy. And I got into these fights, and I'll never forget this. Tommy Ivan said to me, we don't pay guys to fight. We pay guys that score. And the light went off. And I said to myself, why would I take 100, 125, or 130 minutes in penalties that I'm not on the ice and not having a chance to score? So I'm going to try to stay out of the penalty box as much as I can. And I average probably 40 to 60 minutes a year. Maybe get a misconduct included in that because of referees and sometimes losing my temper with them, which isn't a smart thing. You can't beat them. But I remember going to Chicago, and every game I went to Chicago, Phil Russell would pick a fight with me. And I went out after the game one time with Tony in Chicago. We stayed overnight. And Phil Russell was there, and I'm going like to myself, "What, Tony? Are you serious doing this with this guy?" I mean, every time we play, we fight. And I said to Russell, I said, "Why do you always want to fight me, Phil?" I said, "Don't you like me?" He said, "It's not me." And he says, "Look at him." And he pointed to my brother. My brother told Phil, "Get my brother off the ice, and I'll take care of the rest of the guys."
All part of the strategy.
Even Louie Angotti did it to me, Louie.
You're kidding.
At a face-off. And he said to me, "Tony told me I just got to get you off the ice."
That is so good.
Son of a bitch.
That's amazing. That's true. Hey, Louie, help our audience understand. You're really good at articulating skill in hockey, scoring skill in particular. Explain the Phil Esposito scoring genius to people who maybe haven't seen, don't know. What was his skill in particular? What set him apart?
Well, let me. There's two things. One, I'm going to illustrate by Phil and Tony started a hockey school in the Sioux, and he called me. He said, "You got to come up here for a week to the school." And I go up to the hockey school. And at the end of practice, Tony was in charge of goaltenders, obviously. And so Phil would work with the goaltenders after practice because Tony wanted them to get an idea of what it was like to play. So Tony put these kids in the net. And these kids are 18 years old. And I'll never forget, Phil would stand out there 15 feet. Because I stood there and listened. He said, "You guys ready?" They said, "Yeah." And he'd fire 10 pucks, and 10 pucks would go in the net. And he just hit the corner. He just so accurate. And later that summer, because they had me go up there, I started the hockey school at Richfield. So I said, "Well, you guys got to come to Richfield." So I had those two and Parisi with me.
Right.
And I sold a film, an instructional film, and I can't remember to which, maybe it was General Mills or somebody. But part of the film was Phil was going to demonstrate shooting. And so we did all our bits, and now it was Phil's turn. And the cameraman out on the ice, and Phil puts a bucket of pucks down, and he's mic'd, and he's talking while he's shooting. And JP and I are standing off to the side, and he starts saying, "But look at the target, get your target, fire at that target, keep hitting, and keep shooting at the target." As he's talking and shooting, everyone's hitting the blue line on the boards. And JP says to me, "My God, I got a lot of work to do." and then the other thing was Cesar Maniago.
Yeah.
We played in Boston. We get beat, as we always did in Boston. We got a tie a few times, but we were always getting beat. And after the game, Cesar Maniago and Murray Oliver and I went out to dinner, and we're sitting there. And Cesar says to me, "Louie, your buddy's driving me crazy. I can't stand it." I said, "What's the matter?" He says, "He gets the puck in front of me, and I'm in the crease, and I wait, and then he waits, and I wait, then he waits, then I wait, then he waits a little longer, and then I wait, and then I finally open my legs or something, and he puts the puck in." And that's what great players do. They have what's called, the game's played at a slow motion for them. They have elongated time. Phil's got elongated time. He can hold the puck till it almost looks like my stick's coming down on his blade, and just before it gets there, he releases the puck.
Pretty good explanation, right,
That was
Phil?
the key, hitting the target, right, Louie? Hitting where you're aiming.
You hit it too often. By the way,
kids now,
they don't realize this guy got 76 goals. When the mark was 50, to get 50, Rocco Richard had it, and then I think Bobby Hull finally got 50 after. How does Phil break it? He gets 76. And he had 76 assists in that same year, didn't you? I think you had, you had 152 points. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Not too bad for
it. Was a hell of a year.
Let me ask you.
And I never forget, the next year I got 67 goals, I think it was. And the headline in the Boston paper was Esposito slumps. I'll never forget that.
That's too good. That's too good. Hey, a quick question for you, Phil. Can we get a brief break in and get one more segment out of you? Is there any chance? Because this is great. The texters love it. I did have a couple more questions. Any shot we can get one more? Awesome. Let's put Phil Esposito on hold. The all-time great joining us with Luigi in studio. We will continue in just a minute here in the Fan.
You're listening to Barrero on the Fan.
All right, we're going to get one more quickie segment in, a bonus segment. This has been going so well. Louie in studio, Phil Esposito is on the phone. I've got a few good questions that have come in via the text line, but I would be remiss. I'm sure we've talked about him before, but I want to ask you about him again. You already mentioned him once. There's the ongoing debate that always about, okay, who's the greatest hockey player of all time? And it generally, for most people, comes down to Gretzky and Orr. I have forever voted for Bobby Orr. Who loses? I mean, obviously it's a kind of a silly discussion. But I asked Louie to talk about your skill. Give me, Phil, from your perspective, how do you articulate the Bobby Orr greatness, maybe to people who had never had a chance to see him play?
Here's the way I put it. Bobby Orr could not play forward. He did not. He couldn't play it. He tried. In fact, my very first game I ever played against him, I was with the Blackhawks. Bobby was with the Bruins. He played center against me. I'll never forget that. But he was the greatest defenseman ever. I think Wayne Gretzky is the greatest centerman ever. I don't know how you can compare and say who's the greatest player.
Right.
What about goalies?
Yeah.
How do you compare the goalies into that? There is one thing, and maybe it was the era, but Gordy could play center. He could play right wing. He could play left wing. He could play defense. I wouldn't be surprised if the son of a bitch would go in a goal.
Yeah. Louie, what do you think?
He's right. I mean, Phil and I both, our favorite player was Gordie Howe. Phil, tell him about your first game against Howe.
Oh, my first game. Holy Max. I'm sitting on the bench at the Blackhawks, right? And Billy Ray, I think it was like the third period or something. He just says, Esposito, you go out there with Hull and Fleming and let Bobby take the face-off. So I'm standing there and I'm skating on the ice. I'm going, holy crap. Gordie Howe, Hall of Famer. Alex DeVecchio, Hall of Famer. Ted Lindsay, Hall of Famer. Terry Sawchuk, Glenn Hall, Pierre Palat, Bobby Hull. Holy. And I'm standing there and Gordie's opposite. You stand at the face-offs. I'm standing there and I look and Bobby says, you got that old so-and-so? To me, right? I said, I got him, Bobby. Well, the puck drops. Gordie gives me an elbow just right below the nose, cuts me open for 6 stitches. I feel the blood. I lean back, and I take a swipe at him with my stick. Now, the only place we used to swing was the only place we had padding was around the hips and on the thighs, So I slashed it. We both go in the penalty box together. And I've got to don't forget, in those days, a cop or the usher or somebody would sit between you. So I'm in the penalty box, and I'm trying to stop the bleeding, and I lean over and I say, "And you used to be my so-and-so idol." And he turned back and he says, "What you say, Wappo?" I went, ooh, nothing, Mr. Howe, absolutely nothing. And the rest of my career, he never bothered me. He told me later on, because we became pretty good friends, he told me later on, he says, I tested every rookie, and if they didn't come back at me, I owned them for the rest of my career or their career. And one quick other story, my first All-Star game was St. Louis, and I'm on with Bobby and Gordy, and we're at a face-off in the deep in the zone of the offensive zone. And Gordy comes out, and he says, and Bobby's standing there, and Gordy says, "Where do you want me, kid?" And I looked at him and I says, "How about on the bench?" He said, "What?" I said, "I'm just joking, Mr. Howe. I'm just joking."
Mr. Howe again.
Mr. Howe, oh yeah.
That's too good.
I wasn't screwing around with Gord. Gordy was a special player. He really was. But the thing is, I don't know how you could compare who's the greatest player when goaltenders should be involved in that, and defensemen are different than forwards. I can't say. Playing with Bobby Orr was unbelievable. The guy got hurt so much, and I could only imagine what this man would have done if he didn't get screwed up by a general practitioner who just was a family doctor on his first knee operation.
Oh, that's awesome. Now the way the surgeries are now, I could only imagine. You imagine this guy playing 20, 21 years?
Instead of 10.
There would have been records that would never have been touched with Bobby Orr.
The greatest goaltender you ever saw.
Greatest goaltender?
Yep.
Oh, shit, man. Excuse me.
We got it.
Chuck.
My first reaction is to say my brother, but I got to be honest, I used to love to play against him. I did. Oh, man, I had him, boy. I did have him. But anyway, the greatest goaltender.
How about Sawchuck?
I think the greatest goaltender was always the guy that had the greatest defense.
Yeah.
And to me, Terry Sawchuck was unbelievable. I scored my very first goal in my career against Terry Sawchuck. Funny how you never forget your first one, and I cannot remember my last one.
That is interesting. Very interesting. A texter wanted to know who either or both of you would take if you're starting a team and you could take any active player right now as your top pick to start the team. Which are you guys choosing? Who are you choosing?
I would take McDavid.
Phil, what do you think?
I would take Macklin Celebrini.
Oh, you want to go to a younger guy? Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm going to start, I'm going to start either him or Quint Hughes.
Oh.
Because you need that defenseman.
Our guy.
And he's really good. Yes, sir, your guy.
Is our club, I mean, it's always good to get outside analysis. What do you see with the Wild? Are they close? Do they need another piece? What do you think?
I think they're very close. Unfortunately, Eck got hurt.
Yeah.
And you cannot. Best teams are the teams that builds up the middle: defense, goaltender, defense, and center. I say that because I was a center. No, I don't say that because of that.
It's true.
When Eriksson Eck got hurt, there wasn't a lot to fill in for him. And I think that's one of the major goals would be for Billy Guerin. I think Billy's done a magnificent job with the Minnesota Wild. And getting Quint Hughes. Quint Hughes is one of the best young defensemen I've ever seen play. And this kid, Hudson, from Montreal, is also a very good player. And they're not big. They're not big, but they're smart. and they can skate, and they can turn, and they wheel, and everything else.
Are you a Kaprizov guy?
Excuse me?
Are you a Kaprizov guy?
He's good, but there are other guys in the league just as good to me.
Mm-hmm.
But defense, if you get a guy like Quint Hughes,
yep.
Because I played with a guy like Orr, and when Orr was healthy and playing, our team was 60% better. I'm telling you, that's how important I thought that was. And for me, I would make sure that I always got in the position, because sooner or later Bobby would run into somebody that he'd have to get rid of the puck. And I would follow him. I used to watch him in practice, and I'd follow skating, going back behind him, always trying to get in the position, and always with my stick on the ice to give him a target. That's the other thing I see nowadays. Guys don't give targets, and they got the stick up in the air. Heck, it doesn't have to be a 100-mile-an-hour shot if it's on the right spot. It does not have to be. Of course, now the goaltenders look like RoboCop, for crying out loud, with the equipment they got. Holy crap. Too much equipment. Way too much.
I want to finish with two texts. This is from 612 guy. I was traveling, he writes, during Tampa Bay versus Montreal Game 7 this year. Listen to the Tampa Bay broadcast on Sirius. Phil was by far the most entertaining color guy I've ever heard in any sport. To hear his radio partner, Mish, seamlessly call a game with Espo's spontaneous, unfiltered, and emotional outbursts is must listen. Fave line from that game I remember was, "Gah, shoot the puck. Oh, dear Lord."
Yeah. Well, you know, my whole thing, that's the only record I got left, by the way. Most shots on net in the season.
What was it, about 546?
76. 550, Louie. 550.
So I figured you were up around that. You know what the leading shot on goal was this year? McKinnon, 350.
Wow. 350, McKinnon. Yeah. God, 200 shots left. But the game has changed. Obviously, everybody blocks shots now, Lou.
Yep.
I mean, the equipment is such that everybody blocks shots.
They all collapse around the net.
Wayne Gretzky said a great line one night on the TV. They asked about, Tortorella going to Vegas and blocking all the shots. Wayne says, I could never play for him. Never. And I think it was the goaltender, the King from New York.
Oh,
he said,
Lundqvist. Yeah, Lundqvist.
What? Isn't that? I forgot his name.
Lundqvist. Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah, Lundqvist. That's it. And he looked at Wayne. He says, "Why couldn't you play for him?" He says, "Because I wasn't going to try to block those shots." It's like I told Jerry Cheevers one time. I came down back to tell him that about a face-off, and he says, "Hey, Espo, you ever going to block a shot?" I said, "Cheesy, when you score a goal, I'll block a shot."
Well put. Here's the last text from 612 guy. I still remember on the bathroom wall at the Met, somebody put a Jesus Saves sticker on the wall. Underneath, someone added, "But Esposito scores on the rebound." You've heard that once or twice.
Well, they had bumper
years.
stickers like that in Boston.
Exactly.
That's still
the best.
I still have two of them. I think
Do you?
two of them left. I have one, in my little office, which I don't go in anymore. Too much. I still have them. And then there was another one that came out when Tony got 15 shutouts. Only Jesus saves more than Esposito.
Ah, yeah. There you go. Perfect. Louie, unfortunately, he's got to go. I'd keep you here for another 5 hours. I mean, I would. This has been gold, as it always is with you. We so appreciate your giving us as much time as you did. I know, obviously, we thank Louie for making sure this gets done. And I would say to both of you, I say this to Louie all the time, but I say it to you, man, don't stop. Because I think you guys have hit on it. Don't stop.
No. And the funny thing is, if Louie and we could not see each other for a year, But when we see each other, it's like we saw each other yesterday.
Yep.
It's really amazing. And if the two of us were sitting on a round table, nobody would be not entertained. Everybody would be entertained, for sure.
God, yes. We know that.
It's great to be with you.
Louie?
Great to be with you. I look forward to seeing you in the Sioux. Come to the Dodge and we'll get you dinner.
Phil, thank you. Thank you so much.
Maybe. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Anytime.
Bye, Lou.
Bye.
I appreciate
Take care.
My God. Every time it gets better. He's great every time. And every time I go, it can't get any better. And then it does. I mean, we could do whole shows.
Oh, yeah.
And he would not run out of material.
No, he wouldn't.
Now, neither would you. That's the beauty of it. And he put you two together, and it's even better. But you got to go, right? I don't want to hold you up. Thanks for the time. Thanks for getting this set up again. We appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
Outstanding, basically hour and change with Louie. We'll come back and try to get back on schedule.
Bumper to Bumper with Dan Barreiro on the Fan.
Well, you got a lot of best of material. I don't know if there's any holidays coming up where that's going to be an issue.
Friday, July 3rd.
Oh, that will be an issue? Okay.
We'll be using it that day.
Because I didn't know, like, sometimes if we have, aren't we going to have World Cup then?
Yes. So literally what just happened almost covers it. World Cup's at 5:30.
What was the other big one, though, that we just had that went on forever that was great?
Yeah. It's funny how you can't even remember it. I know exactly what we're talking about because I wrote it down.
Why am I having difficulty remembering who that conversation was with?
The best of? Because we're like Phil and Louie. We're getting old. We got to keep moving.
Basically it. So you were on the dumb button pretty good?
Yeah, I let the GD go.
Yeah, I was okay with that, too.
The S1, you got to kind of, you can't play with that one as much.
He was clearly trying to censor him. He was trying. I really believe he was trying.
He was the opposite of Kenny Patera.
Yes.
He was
true.
He was trying. He did a great job of self-censoring.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm sure. I mean, he's for us. He's an entire podcast waiting to happen, right? We say we're doing 3 hours, and there's going to be some people who don't want 3 hours, but it's there if you want it, and otherwise you take an hour. You take whatever you want of it. He's never going to run out of stories.
No.
Or opinions.
No.
That's for sure.
He likes Quinnesota.
Yeah, how about that?
A lot of pressure on Billy Guerin.
He sounded a little more lukewarm on Kaprizov.
It's almost like you didn't know who he was.
Yeah,
You're like, who?
Oh,
97? Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, there's a lot of other guys that are good,
Cute
too.
little player.
Yeah, that's right.
He's nice.
That's the way it sounded.
The best part, I told Louie this, the best part of it from my perspective of being in the front row for all this is Louie's face while one of his oldest buddies is telling stories.
Absolutely.
Just watching
from
Louie
the same neighborhood, these two guys.
I know.
Not the same country, not the same the same neighborhood.
It's the best.
It's as good as it gets. I mean, it's outstanding. And how about best goaltender ever? Well, I would say my brother, I might feel obligated to, but I loved playing against him and beating his ass. But how good was that?
All's fair because his brother told other guys to cheap shot him and get him out of the game.
Yeah, that's just gold.
No love like a brother's love.
It's all gold for sure. We'll read some texts. We do need to get caught up, correct?
We do.
And we'll have the top 5 at 5 at some point. We've got Michael Hurley to talk international stuff, a little more solemn stuff. But hopefully the mixture will be perfect. Maybe we need to get a little more serious. Who's to say? But I mean, I could go on with Phil Esposito for pretty much ever.
You're listening to Barreiro on the Fan.